I'm Tom Arnold, and I'm impressed that you're listening to Two Dudes and an S.
Hey, Justin.
What's up, man?
Dude, Season 7 was rough in the year of the 19. It's such a relief just to catch some rays out here in Panama City with a mega slice of jerk chicken, jalapeno, and pineapple pizza. Am I right?
Yeah, man, you're so right. I said we take some time off before starting on Season 8. Oh, I almost forgot. April's report is about to start.
Much more than just a series of small, isolated incidents. It's now apparent that an organized criminal element is at work. And at the moment, business is good.
Dude, it's Shredder.
Oh, no.
Two dudes. I'm taking April along with Manhattan Island. If you want them back, come and get them. Or you guys could just discuss TMNT 3, the Manhattan Project for the NES. It was a 1992 release by Konami, with exceptionally good music and gameplay mechanics that really showcased what the NES could do at the time. Whichever is more convenient for you.
What a jerk. Hey, Justin.
What's up, man?
I'm thinking we might need some backup. What are you thinking?
Do we have to share a pizza with them?
No, of course not. I've still got this old scepter thing. I hope it still works.
Wait, you've been carrying that thing around the whole time?
Never leave home without it, dude. Anyway, here goes nothing.
I call Donnie.
No way, Hosehead. You always get Donnie.
I do not.
Well, I'll tell you what. You play as Donnie this round, and I'll wait around for the pizza guy. He's got 30 seconds.
Wise men say forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late...
Hey, what is that?
Dude, it's our scepter. It hasn't lit up in years.
Wait, that could only mean...
The two dudes back on Earth need our help? You think of what I'm thinking?
We have to share our pizza with them.
Of course not, but this time, let's travel interdimensionally with style. It's time to break our prototype jet-powered surfboards. You in?
COWABUNGA!
COWABUNGA!
Dudes, so glad to have some help. Got the Turtle Flakes boys.
It's been too long.
Yeah.
Been too long.
Way too long.
All right. Well, tonight we're talking about TMNT 3, the Manhattan Project. The latest in the series of Ninja Turtles video games on the NES.
Awesome.
Yeah, we had you guys on for the first game. We had, I think, at least Rob for sure. Josh, did you join us on the second one?
I think so.
Or did we get Imposter Josh on that one?
Imposter Josh.
Would he keep talking about Power Rangers?
That's
If there was a
probably
lot of Power Rangers
Josh,
talk,
yeah.
then it was the other one. Yeah, Imposter Josh. Yeah, I don't remember, but it's definitely awesome to be back on with you guys. Been loving the show, and really glad to be able to join you. And we're kind of starting Turtle Flakes back up. So yeah, we got sucked into Dimension X. We missed all of 2020, so you guys will have to fill us in. I mean, I'm sure it was a great year. We've been in Dimension X, hanging out with the neutrinos the whole time, and working at Ninja Pizza. So what did we miss? I'm sure it was an amazing year.
Yeah, about that
Nothing
2020. Yeah,
Nothing much.
yeah, it's great.
Yeah, we
Okay.
move on to 21.
Best year ever. Actually,
Cool.
speaking of, this is 2021. This is our first episode of 2021, and I'm excited. It's going to be season 8. It's going to be the best season ever. Maybe the fewest episodes we ever release in a season. We'll see.
No. Surely not.
We're on a good downward trend. So
Don't call you Shirley.
Yeah.
I say we get right into it.
Fair enough.
All right.
Justin, do you have some historical tidbits and trivia?
Now it's time for Justin's historical tidbits and trivia. Time to get out your D-pad notepads because you're about to get schooled by the doctor.
Not only do I have tidbits and trivia, but I have it in a special format. The format of a quiz game.
Yes!
Okay.
Nice.
Stage clear.
I really want to know what that scream is at the end.
I think it's somebody going, "Hey!" That's what I always heard in my head.
I thought it was a turtle that, his nerves were so wired up at the end of the level, he just vomits, and that's him going.
I mean,
That's what it is for me now.
he gets done, he just throws up everywhere. Okay, quiz game. Everybody knows how the quiz game works by now, I believe. But there will be 5 questions. And each question will have 4 multiple choice answers. You could ring in at any time if you think you know the answer. You can ring in before the answer choices are even read. You ring in by saying your name. Is everybody ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Question number 1. This title, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 Manhattan Project, was released several months earlier in Japan, actually in December of 1991, when it was released in the U.S. in February of 1992. However, in Japan, it was released under a different name. What was that name?
Josh. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2?
That is correct. It was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 Manhattan Project in Japan, because the original was not released under the name Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So it was actually just the first or the second game released in this series.
Oh, nice job, Jose.
Yeah, good job.
All right.
Quick question. Is it Rob and Josh versus me, or is every man for themselves?
I was just going every man for himself.
Yeah, that's good. And whoever wins gets to eat the largest amount of pizza.
Pizza, yeah.
All right.
Because I know you get pizza there.
All right. By the time this game was being developed, the original designers from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 were actually already working on titles for Super Nintendo. So the development went to a new team that went by the name of Kunuru Asabu, which in Japanese translate to what in English? Is it A, run, fight, win? Is it B, eat, sleep, and play? Is it C, eat, sleep, and work? Or is it D, run, dash, and sprint?
Josh?
I'm
going to go with C.
Not C.
Mike?
Uh-huh.
I'm going with A.
It is not run, fight, and win.
Rob?
I'll
go with B.
B is correct.
Yes!
Sleep and Play was the name of the group that worked on the development of this game.
I thought the translation was going to be B Squad.
All right. Question number 3. So we got Josh with a point, Rob with a point, Mike with a goose egg. 3. The only person to work on both games in regards to development was a man by the name of Masaki Kishimoto. What role did he play on developing...
Rob.
Mike?
Music.
What role did he play on developing the arcade game? Was it A, visual programmer?
Sticking with music.
B, director. Okay. Here's the deal. I should have said excluding the music because the composers were the same. So
thank you.
That was unfair.
Okay.
That was unfair.
Of course, unfair questions for me.
So he was only in the development of the game. I tried to say it with the development of the game, but I should have specified excluding the music. But what role? So Mike, you're back in.
Okay.
I'll put you back in. What role did he play on developing the arcade game? Was it A, visual programmer, B, director, C, assistant developer, or D, art director?
Mike.
Mike?
Art developer.
No.
Okay.
Still got it
Rob.
wrong. Rob.
I'll say C, the assistant.
Nope.
Oh,
Assistant to the regional manager.
assistant to the art director.
Josh. What
Josh?
options do I have left?
You have visual programmer or director.
I'm gonna go with director.
No.
Oh,
Nobody gets the points there. He was the visual programmer, and he came back and worked on this game as well. All right, so we still got one for Josh, one for Rob, and nothing for Mike. He even answered that question wrong twice. This game was advertised in many European gaming magazines, but was actually never released. According to those advertisements, when was the game supposed to be released in Europe? Was it A, summer of 1992, B, spring of 1992, C, winter of 1992, or
Mike.
D, the summer of 93? Mike?
I'm gonna say winter of 92.
That is incorrect.
Oh my gosh.
So we got
Rob,
summer
I'll say-
90. Go ahead, Rob.
I'll say D.
D, summer 93. Nope, that's also incorrect.
All right, Josh. What are my two options? Let's see if I can be
Summer of 92 or spring of 92?
I'm feeling spring. Let's go spring.
Well, that one was actually summer of 92 was what it was advertised.
Wow.
Oh,
PAL.
Do we have any listeners left after that?
Yeah, they're all just.
But it was actually
Missing a lot of these
never.
questions.
It was never released. Okay, this one I know you all three are going to know the answer to this one because this has nothing to do with the development of this game. It's
Mike.
Ninja Turtles.
I'm just kidding. That's a joke.
In the movie Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Secret of the Ooze, Shredder meets Toka and Reza for the first time. Out of frustration for their behavior, he runs out and screams,
Rob.
"What?" Rob.
Babies.
They're babies!
It's one of my favorites. One of the best cinematics. One of the best cinematic moments. I love it. I don't know why it's so funny to me, but I love it.
I think it's the voice.
They're babies! All right. Well, Rob wins. That gives him the win.
Right.
Yeah, Jose was fixed.
I'll share my pizza with you.
Josh gets on the podium on second place. Mike, I can't even put you on the podium with no points.
We want you to know. May God have mercy on your soul.
But anyway, I feel like, Mike, you're going to have some good story about when and where you got this game.
Yes.
Now it's time for the thrill of 8-bit discovery with Michael's quest to find the cart.
I do actually have a good story this time. I think Rob probably does too, and I'm sure everybody's got a good story about this game, should they have it. But for me, this one goes back to, I don't know, I guess it came out in 92, right? So I was, how old was I? Like 8, 9 years old maybe by the time I got it? 7 when it came out, so I probably 8. But anyways, around that age, I got some like really serious strep throat thing. I don't even know what it was. Probably like the mumps or the measles. I don't know. I had the shots. It's probably not that. It was something where my neck swole up and I could not move. No, it wasn't smallpox. Polio? No, I don't know. Something like that.
Mama?
I should have asked my mom what it was. I think it was strep though.
Was it? Oh, strep. Okay.
But I think it was like a serious version of strep where like my neck swelled up and I couldn't move. Anyways.
Get a goiter.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny now that I'm alive, right? But what if I would have died, Josh? Anyways, I was trapped in my room, in my bed, and I could not move my head. So, my grandfather, whom I called Granddaddy, because it's the South, and he went out, and knowing that I couldn't get out of bed, went out and bought me an NES game, and it was this game. So, and he came over, and he played it with me, and it's just such a good memory, you know. I always have that memory. So that's how I got this game.
You were faking sex just so you can get the game, weren't you? I would have done the same thing. Would have been worth it.
No. I should have asked my mom what that sickness was. This could have been strep throat, right? Maybe it could have been.
Yeah, it could have been strep. Strep's pretty common for kids, yeah.
But strep throat seems so minor, because in my head it seems so major, you know?
It could have been mono, maybe. I don't know. But that's usually like longer term. Like,
I just remember not being able to move my head. Like I couldn't turn left or right. It was basically just stuck in one position.
That's crazy.
Justin, you're the doctor. What the heck did I
have? Mumps.
Mumps. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's my story. Rob or Josh or Justin, do you have a story about how you got this game?
Yeah. Mine's not like a major story or anything like that, but I do really remember this game really striking a chord with me. I was at a pool party, and this was, I guess, right around the time the game came out. And my buddy, like, once we get out of the pool and everything, it's an awesome summer day. And I remember he opens up his presents, and Turtles 3 is one of the gifts. And I didn't even know there was a Turtles 3 game, because the first game I got in my lineup, I think the first 3 games was Mario 3, Batman, and Turtles 2. I thought there were only 2 Turtles games. So when I see that game, I'm like, oh my gosh, we got to go up there and play it right now, even though it wasn't my birthday. I was trying to call the shots. So, yeah, I was like, we got to go. So we go up there, and I remember we were having our birthday cake and ecto coolers, and we played Turtles 3 on these beanbag chairs. And my buddies, now we've all probably had a friend that had like the coolest room, you know, with all these awesome posters and great toys and video games. I wasn't one of those kids growing up, but I had friends like that. And I just remember us all trying to beat Turtles 3 that day. And I loved the game so much that I begged my parents to get it, but they made me wait until Christmas. And even then, I didn't get it for my parents for Christmas. But my uncle surprised me later that Christmas evening with the game. But I did get a Sega Genesis that Christmas. So, sorry, guys. Sorry,
nice.
I forgot where I was. But yeah, so that was just my story. And this game, you know, I know we're going to get into it, but it's such, I mean, I want to ask you guys a question about this. So keep this in your back pocket for the show. I just listened to your $177 episode, which was awesome. I wonder if now that we're covering this game, if this would have made your list as your Turtles game. So I know it's a little bit more on the pricey side. I think it's like $20 or $30. I'm not sure. I haven't checked recently, but
Rob, we have a segment where we release that information.
Okay. I will judge. And there's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
All right. So I have a story as well. So I did not play this game when it was new as a kid. So it came out in 91. So I was probably also playing that other 16-bit console, which we had got for Christmas, and had kind of moved on to 16-bit stuff for the most part because it was new and exciting. Yeah, but probably maybe about 10 years ago or so, well, probably longer than that, 10 or 15 years ago, I started collecting again, and before I was really collecting, I was kind of buying stuff, fixing NESs and reselling them. So I'd replace a 72-pin connector and resell them to make some extra money to buy more games. So I was trying to pick up as many NES as I could and get them fixed, and as well as Mario Duck Hunt, because everyone wants that. And the store nearby always had those for like $1 or $2.50. So I would just like clear them out. Every time I had Mario Duck Hunt, I would buy all of them. And then I would test them before I go to sell the systems. And there's one day I was cleaning games and systems. I clean up Mario Duck Hunt. I stick it in, and Turtles 3 boots up. I was like, what is this? This is awesome. I was like super excited. I was like, what is going on here? So sure enough, I checked it out, and some kid probably back in the day probably ripped off a rental place, and they opened up they opened up the game and swapped the game boards out, and somebody took Turtles 3 and swapped it out for Mario.
That's a crafty kid. I would have just swapped the stickers.
Yeah, it is a crafty kid, right? Yeah, I mean it's pretty crazy, and I guess that kind of speaks to the quality of the game. If you're willing to give up Duck Hunt and Mario for this, that's pretty huge. So I ended up, what was that?
2 for 1.
2 for 1. That's right. And that was actually, I think that may have been the first time that I had played it. To be honest, I was probably aware that it existed, but never played it. And I ended up, I just liked the story and the excitement of finding it that way. So I ended up getting a reproduction label somewhere and cleaning it off and putting it on the cartridge. So it's technically the real game, but I have a reproduction label. So that was kind of a fun way to get the game.
Yeah, that's cool. You should just left the old label on there and just wrote in big magic marker TMNT3.
I would say this is probably the last game I got for the NES when I was a kid, because I think at this point, just like you guys, I was already on to the 16-bit, but I did end up getting this game later. I don't think I got it anywhere near the release. But I did get this. This was kind of a game that I had went back and bought for the NES, even though I had the Super Nintendo and that other thing. So yeah, I mean, I did play this as a kid, but it was the last, I mean, of the NES games that I actually got.
So I guess I was the only one that was the holdout for the 16-bit. It sounds like all you guys had systems a lot sooner than I did. I did end up with a 16-bit system, but it was much later, probably like 94, 95.
Well, see, what I did is I bought that system you can bleep out. And then within like I think I got that like in the fall. I like saved up my money and bought that. And then as soon as I got money for Christmas, I went and bought the Super Nintendo because I was like, this is garbage. Give me the real stuff.
You guys are hurting me.
Yeah, we got the Sega Genesis for Christmas. Our neighbors had the big model. What? Button. Oh, sorry. Our neighbors had one, but they had the Model 1. And then it was probably Christmas, I'm guessing 90 or 91, that there was a box under the tree that had all three of our names on it. So we knew it had to be the big gift, but we knew the box was too small to be a game system. So we were like, we really wanted to know what it was. And then when we found out what it was, that was the first time we saw the Model 2 and knew that it could be that small. We were blown away. It was really cool. And then we did get the Super Nintendo. I don't think it was... We got it with the Super Mario All-Stars and Super Mario World pack. So that was like, I'm guessing that was maybe like 92 or 93, because I don't think they did that packing until a little bit later.
Hey, I'll tell you, I will mention the system this time, but the Sega Genesis, this will tell you how much I love the Sega Genesis. I traded my Sega Genesis to Crabman for an SNES. With busted sound chip. It didn't work. None of the sound worked, but I wanted to play the SNES games because the Sega game sucked. So Crabman got my Sega Genesis and I got his SNES.
I thought the sound chip was broken on mine, but because everything sounded like dying cats, but apparently that's just the way
you're all trying to hurt me today.
No. All right. Let's talk about this game. Let's talk about the Turtles game. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be right back.
Time to dig into some good old-fashioned game discussion.
All right. So, let's talk about it. We like to start off with the manual. But, because I know you all have games, and including myself, but I don't have the manual. Do either of you guys have the manual that you can actually pull out and read, or am I going to go to PDF?
I've got the manual.
I do not. Oh, Rob does?
I do. I didn't know I had it. I don't even know who gave it to me, but I've got it.
Awesome. I was a stupid kid that lost my box and my manual, so...
Oh, I lost mine years ago, but I think a buddy of mine, maybe my neighbor, he had a bunch of turtle stuff, and there was one time he was cleaning out his old house, and he just gave me a bag full of turtle toys. So I think this happened to be in that bag. So this is definitely not one I took care of, but God bless him.
Well, I can't imagine a better person to read us the story of the game than Rob Luther, the turtle man himself.
Awesome.
So,
That's right.
Cool. All right. So the
Rabbitola.
manual here, I love the artwork of this manual too. I don't know if you guys got to see some PDFs. It's pretty great. Let's see. So page 4 says, will the half shells be washed up on the beach? Sun, sand, surfboards, shredder? Talk about a party pooper. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles try to take a vacation only to have it cut short by Shredder's shadiest sham yet. Boy, I love this alliteration.
Yeah,
He'll stop at nothing for revenge. No kidding. This time that ice-hearted anti-hero made off with the entire island of Manhattan. His sinister alien ally Krang has given him the technology to rip the bustling borough from its earthly ties, just really getting me, with a rumbling earthquake and lift it into the sky. If our holiday heroes, okay.
Well, they're on holiday.
Oh,
on
true.
holiday,
Yeah,
yeah.
makes sense. Sorry, it took me a sec. If our holiday heroes ever want to see April O'Neil and the Big Apple in one piece again, they've got to burn rubber and get back home. So,
Oh man, Walt Whitman wrote that. Yeah, burn some dust, heat my rubber.
It looks like the cover, the front and the back actually have color too, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of an oddity in the NES manual era. And there's a lot of color inside, too.
And there's like a Triceraton on there with he's got like the Crocodile Dundee knife. But,
he does.
Yeah, we'll
Which
talk
the
about this here in a
Triceratops
minute.
never makes... Oh, yeah, go ahead.
But I was going to say, I didn't remember seeing that guy. Is it just because
No.
I'm not very good and didn't make it very far?
no, I don't think they're in the game.
No, I don't think so.
Well, I was reading something, and maybe you guys, I just don't see it. Maybe it was just wrong, but I was reading something the other day about the artwork on the game that had other characters that didn't, and I guess Triceraton, but I don't see any other characters that aren't in the game.
Oh, man.
Yeah, the only other thing I really see is Mausers.
It's funny. If you actually, I'm looking at the card right now. If you actually look all the way on the left, on the right beside the Triceraton's left shoulder, you see a dude with a hockey mask. I mean, it is tiny. There's Casey Jones. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, you're right. I see it. Yeah, it's like right on the edge, almost on the margin of the artwork by his shoulder. So that's probably what it is.
You got one kid like, hey, Casey's supposed to be in this.
There are a lot of foot soldiers in the background, too.
No kidding.
Yeah.
By the way, love the artwork, man. So good. I always try to figure out who drew that. I'm sure it was one of the Mirage artists or something from the comic books, but some of the information about that's like kind of conflicting. So I don't really know for sure who did the artwork here.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
It definitely looks like the comic book, though.
Oh yeah, and I loved it so much. I actually got a giant poster of it in my garage. I'm looking at it right now.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's actually color screenshots too. Wow.
Yeah. There's a lot of color in this. So
Spared no
This
expense.
is a great manual.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great
Yeah,
manual.
spared no expense.
One of the best.
I was just gonna say I like how on the controls it's Splinter showing you how to play the game.
That's right.
The master. Let me show you how to play this. What were you gonna say, Mike?
Oh, I was going to get into the meat of the game. You know, I don't
Yeah,
just
go ahead.
Game talk here, and so I always like to start with memories from the childhood. And Josh, you may not be able to chime in too much there, but Rob and Justin can, and I just remember it. I always remember it being difficult, but it was one of those things that, like, at the time when I was a kid, it did not matter. I would play this game over and over and over again, and just get as far as I could, and then it'd be over.
Yeah, I had the same thing. Like, I don't remember having any bad times at all playing this game. I was terrible at it, and there'd be times I probably threw my controller, I'm sure, but it was always when I'd fire back up. And it's funny, I got the Sega Genesis that same year. Sorry, I know. But the same Christmas I get the Turtles game, but I would go back and forth. I play Sonic and I play Turtles 3. Sonic, Turtles 3. That's all I did for months. Never got far in Turtles 3. It's one of those games growing up that I would beg my sister to play with me because we would always get slightly further if she did play. But golly, I think when I was a kid, I only got to like scene 4 or 5, and there are 8, and yeah. And then years later, I got a Game Genie and I beat it. But honestly, yeah. So
yeah. So I spent a lot of my time either playing with neighbor kid, or like I mentioned, my grandfather played with me a lot. But in his defense, he was older and he was not very good at video games. Anyways.
Yeah, but no, I would just second that. I think that with or I guess third that with this game, and both this game and the original, the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it was games that I never even got close to beating as a kid, but continued to play repetitively. So this game is just, there's so much fun to it. There's so much. It just doesn't seem to get old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, what are your opinions on it now? Now that you've grown up and you've got more abilities, maybe.
I feel like I'm worse at it.
Yeah, me too.
I feel like I'm much worse at it. I definitely didn't get very far playing it in preparation for the podcast. It's just very. It's kind of hard. It's such an arcade game. Even though this wasn't a port, but it's just like, it's hard to imagine this is an arcade. Anybody could beat this in one setting. In my mind, I'm just like sitting here, and I ended up going and watching one of those YouTube, where somebody goes through it and just goes through it without dying. And it's just something to watch those guys. They essentially just know where every move is going to be made, because that's the only way they can get through it without dying.
Yeah, right. I mean, I agree. The game is difficult. I feel like I've gotten worse as I got older as well. But there's just something about the game. It definitely feels like it was made to eat quarters, but it's a long game.
Yeah.
And the difficulty is there, but it's kind of like, I don't mind it as much as I usually do. Maybe it's just because I like turtles. And if it was like random ninja guys or something, I would probably have a different opinion of it. But
as a kid, I loved the second level when you're surfing from
my favorite.
I guess, Key West to New York.
That's a long trip.
Yeah, that was my favorite too. That's actually the intro to the Retro Junkie show, because I love that scene so much, or that level so much. That's the one I specifically remembered. My first memory playing it, we were sitting on our beanbag chairs, and I remember the surfing stage. But yeah, kind of going back to what you guys were saying as an adult. Oh my goodness, I am really bad at it. I got to scene 4, maybe scene 5, and I remembered there was like a strategy I had as a kid, but okay, if I don't lose a life in this particular scene, I can cash in all my high points to, get an extra life and basically prepare for a long run of the game. But as an adult, I just couldn't do it.
Yeah. I definitely tried to spam the down attack with Leonardo. Anybody that had the longest weapon as possible.
Yes.
And
yes.
I broke out my turbo controller and just kind of spammed that move to get as far as I could. But the bosses always got me.
Yeah, no kidding. I love the attack where you can press down and then A or B and it flips them over you.
That's what I'm talking about, yeah.
Yeah, that one there, yeah, because that one didn't take a point off. But if you did the special attack, the A and B at the same time, that took a point of your life off. So, yeah, you had to time that, use that wisely.
Yeah, which is different than Turtles 2, because Turtles 2,
right,
you could do that all day long.
Right, yeah. So I think I only really played it as an adult, but it's definitely really challenging. One thing I like, though, I feel like it's not really cheap. It doesn't like spam you with a ton of enemies, and it's not that they just take a bunch of damage, but I think it's more difficult to evade them hitting you, and they do a really good job of mixing in new types of enemies, which is really cool. And I think that's one way. Yeah, there's like a ton of them, right?
Different enemies. There's a lot of variety in the enemies. That was something I wrote down that is something that's really great. I agree.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that makes it so it's not like repetitive, because it could get boring if you keep dying and having to restart the game. But because it varies, the levels and the enemies change so frequently, it always gives you something new to look at, which is really cool.
Yeah,
and
I get it's probably a stipulation of the game itself or the NES. They never give you more than one enemy type at once, really, that I can think of. So they'll give you 2 or 3 of the same guy, but then the next set of enemies is almost always a different type of enemy.
Huh. That's funny. I never even noticed that, until you mentioned it, but you're right.
Yeah, they're all color-coded, and they all have, their own weapons. My favorite one are the sand foot ninjas. They have to be, the bottom of the totem pole as far as foot ninja training goes. Because they're like, hey, grab some sand, throw it at them. Okay, that's all we got.
Those same colored ninjas eventually turn into, belly flop ninjas.
And I feel like there are enemies in this one that don't appear in any other game, like the ones that carry, the barbell things. Or the weights. I don't remember seeing them in any other game. And I really like seeing them throw those big bowling ball things. You always see those, right? And in this game, you actually see him throwing them, which is pretty sweet.
You always wonder where they're coming from, right?
I know, right? Yeah.
Or even what they are or how heavy they are. I don't.
It's so cool that each turtle has their own special attack too. I mean, that's huge. I was shocked when I realized that. I was like, oh wow, that's really cool. It does actually matter which turtle you pick besides just the length of the weapon that they use. And they're good for different situations too.
That's true. Yeah, I even like their names too. Leonardo's Cyclone Sword Spin, Donatello's Knockout Roll, Michelangelo's Kangaroo Kick, and Raphael's Power Drill Attack.
I do feel like Donatello and Raphael kind of have the same move, but
yeah. They are kind of similar. Yeah, I think Raphael's is better for people in the air, I guess. But I almost feel like I prefer Michelangelo's the most, because sometimes if you're stuck in a corner, Leonardo's isn't that great sometimes because you can't really move while you do it. So if there's no one around you, it's kind of difficult. But Michelangelo's is nice. It really propels you across the screen, which is cool.
That gets you out of trouble. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like an escape and an attack all at once.
Yeah. And Raps is good too because if your bosses go to charge you, you can actually do that spin move right through them.
Yeah. I couldn't really do that very often because I wasn't very good. But I feel like Leonardo was really good with the bosses too for some reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, and it's cool that and I usually don't use special moves when they consume your health in games. I just find it annoying and I just don't use it because of that. But I found in this game, it can be really hard to evade certain enemies. So if there's an enemy where I know I'm going to get hit anyway, I'll just use it. And at least they die too, and it's more of a strategic use in this game, which is really cool.
A little kamikaze move there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the special moves, they do feel strategic in this game. I can remember picking certain turtles for certain bosses if I happen to die beforehand, or like you said, the scenario where I can't avoid a hit, so I might as well do some damage in the process.
Yeah.
There's definitely some strategy there.
Yeah, and then especially I think if your boss is blinking whenever and you had just enough life, I would go ahead and cash in all my special attacks and just hit them, because if you make it without losing all your life bars or whatever, by the time you get to the next stage, I think it replenishes, doesn't it?
I don't remember.
Yeah,
right,
so I was like, okay, I've got 6 bars left. I can use it 6 times. I might make it.
And even I think typically, if there's a mid boss like Slash, I think they give you in Slash they give you a pizza right after. So
yeah,
it's worth it using on here too.
And by the way, the boss designs they are awesome. The one thing I love about this game is how colorful it is. It even the shades of the turtles. You got your 50 Shades of Green there. There's a lot of different shading, and with the bosses as well. It's just such a colorful game. You were mentioning Slash, he looks cooler in the game than he does on the cartoon for me. So there's a couple, Super Shredder as well. So many different bosses that just look so good in this game. I think it's had a little bit of a facelift between this one and Turtles 2.
Yeah, definitely. I actually played them back to back in preparation for the show, just because I was curious at some of the changes and stuff. And it's not noticeable if you play one or the other as much, but if you played them close together, you can really tell there's a huge graphic upgrade between Turtles 2 and this game.
Yeah, this game's almost, you could almost argue it looks almost 16-bit-ish in some ways. I mean, and they really, of course, this is towards the end of the NES life cycle, but they really pushed it to its limits, I think, in this game with all the colors and graphics and the sprites.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the sprites are large too, and you can tell they definitely pushed it to the limit because there's a lot of flicker at times too, where they put a lot of enemies on the screen and that kind of thing. I do appreciate this game's approach, whereas they will allow as much flicker to prevent slowdown, because it doesn't really slow down. It just everything disappears sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the biggest moment for me was the guys jumping out of the water in the surf level. I mean, the game just kind of almost crashes at that point.
Right, yeah. So
it's surprisingly synchronized.
Yeah, I noticed the flickering as well. I've actually got the game paused, and I can see it's flickering right now. But I think part of the reason the game is so great, in terms of graphics, there's definitely a huge upgrade, is there's a mapper chip called the MMC3 that they put into the cartridge to kind of allow you to have more resources, I guess, for the game. And it's interesting. So the flicker is really, it's only if you have so many things on the same horizontal line on your screen. So I think it's probably 5 or 6 sprites on a single horizontal line. And once you cross that, then it has to alternate, and that's where you get the flicker. And it's, if you play on certain modern re-implementations of it or in emulators, you can actually enable more than the limit, and you don't get the flicker, and it still doesn't have the slowdown, which is kind of cool. But
interesting. Okay, so demo mode, you can turn off the flicker basically. Okay.
Yeah, depending on your emulator. Yeah, or if you use I have the Mr. FPGA, you can do it on there. You might be able to do it on the AVS. I'm not sure, but yeah, there's a sprite limit, and it was a hardware limitation of the PPU video chip on the NES. And if you're emulating or whatever, you can sometimes you can surpass that, which is cool.
Dang PPU.
That's right.
PPU too.
One other thing I noticed graphics-wise was, so at the bottom of the screen while you're playing, it'll have a picture of each of the turtles. But if you die on the continue screen, there's a difference in that on the continue screen it shows the proper color for their bandanas and stuff. And at the bottom of the screen while you're playing the game, it's always that orangish color, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, I mean, the graphics are amazing in terms of the NES. It definitely looks like it would be 16-bit. And I think one of my favorite graphics, I guess, things in the game is the monster truck. When you see Bebop driving by in the monster truck, it just looks awesome.
That's pretty sick.
Huge too.
It's a lot of colors in that monster truck. That it's really pretty. But he throws those grenades that are really easy to dodge.
Yeah. And I felt like Rocksteady, the first boss, I felt he looked exactly like he did in the first Turtles game. And I should have thought, in that quiz question, when you asked about the graphical programmer or who did the same thing, I was like, this has to be the same person. It slipped my mind. But if you compare the first arcade game to Turtles 3 Rocksteady, in my mind, they look the same.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's cool that they were able to pull that off.
Yeah, it's weird that you mentioned, Justin, most of the people are different who made this game.
Yeah.
Because it feels so much like it's just a huge upgrade of Turtles 2.
Just a better version. Yeah.
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 Now, I don't know about if you guys were the same way I was, but I always felt like this game kind of, at the time, was a little bit underrated or kind of overshadowed because you had, of course, Turtles 2, the iconic Turtles 2 arcade game, and then shortly after this, you had Turtles in Time. This one was kind of right in the middle of that time. So did you guys feel I would talk to people about this one a lot as a kid, and they're like, I've never even heard of that one. Was it pretty popular?
I think that happened a lot. Especially, I can think about Neighbor Kids, and they're moving on to Turtles in Time, and this one kind of got overshadowed by it. I also think, speaking of Neighbor Kids, I think Neighbor Kid was the one that had this argument. He didn't like the location and stuff, like the levels, starting on the beach and some of the locations of this game. I think they kind of turned him off for some reason.
Oh wow! See, I
mean,
love that
that's
about
Weird
this game.
because I think that's one of the best parts of this game myself. But
I agree. Yep.
Yeah, it sets it apart from the other Turtles games. It just feels so much different and better. And yeah, I feel like they didn't advertise this very well because I didn't know it existed as a kid, and I think yeah, Rob, you didn't either. So like I think that's probably why a lot of people didn't get it. They didn't know to ask for it, like, or to look for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting how it got
like they did with the Turtles 2 game.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting how they squeezed it in, like, and this is something I wonder what their thought process of developing or when it was started to be developed, because Turtles in Time, just looking at the dates, the arcade game was released in March 91, so it was released in the arcade almost a year before this game was released.
Oh, wow.
And then Turtles in Time was released for the Super Nintendo in August of 92, which is just 6 months after this game was released for the NES. So it's just like, it was just like slid in there at the last second. It was like they had it developed and they just kind of threw it in real quick. I don't know. It's just weird that their time so close together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is interesting.
So I got a question. Did you guys notice, or we got to talk a little bit bad about the game. Did you guys notice anything like with the hit detection and stuff? Say, I played demo mode this time because I didn't want to hook up all my stuff. I know that's lazy, but I did it. And I had a lot of hit detection things, especially with the rock guys, like the steel girders and stuff. I noticed there's a lot of issue with. I felt like they weren't hitting me, but they were totally knocking me across the screen. Am I alone in that?
The only thing I noticed in terms of hit detection was, I think it's the stage where you're on like a boat, and they have those guns that are shooting the three. They got like 3 barrels on them. I'd be like Leonardo and trying to hit that, and I felt like the tip of my sword was hitting the gun, but it wasn't actually registering a hit. That was the only thing I noticed.
Yeah, I noticed that too. So I was just curious if it was.
Yeah.
Because I felt like there were multiple moments where there was some like weird hit detection stuff, where like we may have been a pixel or two off, and it was just enough to throw me off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't ever felt like I got hit when I shouldn't have, but there were a few instances where I felt like I should have hit them. But them carrying the girders was so cool, wasn't it? That was like, oh man, that's awesome. And there's even a boss that like mid-fight, he like rips a pipe off the stage.
Ground check,
That was really cool.
Yeah, ground check, yeah.
Dude, like crazy. Like this is definitely
That's a cool fight.
Yeah. This definitely
Kinda
showcases
changes up in the middle.
Yeah.
The level design and the bosses are great just in general, because there's a lot of variety there.
Yeah,
it's just really good
sure.
game design. Because there's some sub bosses, like I mentioned Slash earlier, and all the bosses kind of behave differently. There's that guy that you just mentioned where he like mid fight pulls the pipe off the wall and just changes the game. Mm-hmm. And there's pizza right after Slash. I mentioned that. I thought that was a really nice touch because they know you're going to lose some life, and he's not even the final boss, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Was that the only pizza that you guys found? That was the only one I saw. And
That's
like,
the only one
I only got to level 5, but
Yeah,
that's the one I found.
I love also how like the design of the level is, as far as like you'll go horizontal for a little while, then you'll go vertical, and then halfway through the scene you'll hop on a ship, and then of course later on in the game you're on an elevator stage. I mean, there's so much variance or variety in the actual levels that you're in. I think this kind of sets it apart from Turtles 2 in that way too. I mean, and Turtles 2 was great for that, but this one was on another level, I think.
Yeah, and I always love how the Turtle games use the environment too.
Yeah,
It's not a Turtle game until I fall into a sewer and say something funny.
oh, dude, that was such a cool animation too, isn't it? Like their shell stays up, but they fall through.
Yeah.
Like, I actually didn't do that until like I'd been playing for a while, and I was like, I always avoid them just because I know I'm going to take damage, and I was like, I got to see this, and I did it. I was like, that was totally worth a bar of practice. Like it was so cool.
And the enemies come from all sorts of places too. Like there may be a van parked in a garage and the door flies open and enemies jump out. Or
yeah,
I noticed that too. Yeah, like a lot of they don't just walk off the edge of the screen. A lot of times they'll actually come through doors, which is so cool.
Well, it looked really suspicious when you saw those signs that just said beach.
Yeah, the beach signs, just beach. And then they bust out. Yeah.
I do have a question about the bridge level though. What happened to all the asphalt and the concrete on the bridge? I mean, it's just gone. It's like blown up.
Apparently.
Well, I think the level is titled "Brooklyn Bridge is Falling Down." So
Yeah.
Shredder's unnatural earthquake had some devastating effects on the bridge, leaving you trembling.
Oh. Okay. Touché.
And how satisfying is it to throw one of the foot ninjas off the bridge? That always felt so good.
Oh, Rob.
Oh, yeah, that's great. Rob and throwing people off of things.
I know.
Well, you know how it is.
Batman, throwing the Joker off the roof.
About that.
The story, though, just in general, speaking of Shredder causing an earthquake, I thought it was pretty cool. It's a little grim because I think it says New York has been destroyed, which that's kind of drastic, but other than that, it's a pretty cool story.
Yeah, the name confused me. I was like, wait, is Shredder building a nuke or something? Because I'm thinking Manhattan Project. Like, I was like, what is this? And then, oh, it's actually Manhattan. Okay.
He's bringing it home. We live in a little close to Oak Ridge here.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. So we've already kind of mentioned the graphics and stuff, but any parting words about the graphics?
I don't think we really. I mean, I just want to throw in, like, I don't know, maybe we have mentioned this and I didn't catch it, but the backgrounds, like, there's so many different colorations, and like, there's it just doesn't feel like anything's repeated level after level. Like, it's all just seems new.
And there's a lot of movement in the background too, like the beach waves coming in, which I felt like that was kind of throwback to Turtles 2 with the fire in the bottom of the screen on the first level.
Yeah.
Yeah, even in the surfing stage, I noticed with the parallax scrolling, there's actually like 3 layers. You've got the water, there's like a ridge above the water, and then there's the clouds, and they're all scrolling at different paces. And I was like, wow, that's a lot for the NES. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I love that there's like a background that you can jump on, and then a foreground you can jump on. And, you're saying about a tribute to the Turtles 2. I think another one that reminded me of Turtles 2 was the sewer pipe stage with Leatherhead. I think there's a sewer stage in Turtles 2 where you have to fight Mousers and eventually Baxter. So that one definitely reminded me of the second game. But then this one kind of adds a bunch of, unique levels too. Like we said, the beach and I think the Technodrome was in both games. I think. But
so.
I don't remember the elevator though in both games. So that's a new one for this one.
And this new.
Yeah, and this one feels longer. Is it just me? Like this was a longer game?
This felt like a really long beat 'em up just in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 8 scenes? Something like that?
Yeah, and the scenes are kind of broken up. It makes you feel like there's more because you'll still be on scene 2, but it's 2 different things. It's the water and then it's the ship that you get on.
Right, yeah. It felt like 2 different levels, but it was actually the same one, yeah.
And there's there's Manhattan, then you end up in the sewer, but that's all the same level.
Yeah.
Not the sewer, but the subway. Yeah, I agree. We haven't also talked about those cutscenes and the graphics. I mean, wow. How do they even animate that intro scene, for example, where it falls down to the sewer and stuff?
Oh, dude, it's just like the original cartoon. Yes.
It is absolutely fascinating that they could pull that off. It's criminal we didn't talk about that. It is amazing. Like, just seeing that intro with the streaking lights and stuff, it's phenomenal.
And the music to go with it, so good.
Right. I mean, it's like they were trying to make an arcade game attract screen. It's like, we don't even care that you already bought the game. We're gonna sell you. Like,
we're gonna bring.
Sit here and watch this, and you're just like, wow. Yeah, that's amazing.
But that's a good transition. What about the music and the sound? I mean, I think the intro, for example, is really pulls you in, like you said. But there's also, there's vocalization in this game. They say "COWABUNGA," and the music is all pretty good. I better.
And don't forget the blah.
We got Ralphing. Turtle
Hey, Rob, you already mentioned the second level is like your favorite music, right? I want to just assume of all time.
Absolutely, of any genre.
I had to switch from Dude Spook to Dude Turtle Puke.
Yeah, I love there's several tracks I love. I love Scene 2s. I love I love the victory music at the very end. I love how the second to last stage, I listened to the whole soundtrack because Lord knows I didn't get all the way to the last stage, but the second to last stage I think sounds a lot like the original cartoon, but they put their own spin on it. It's just so, and it's so upbeat, for a beat 'em up, especially that first stage. It's like, yeah, we're having a good time beating up these foot ninjas. No big deal. We're going to go surfing later. It's a good time.
Yeah, I think that surfing track definitely, it makes you smile every time you hear it, just because it's so upbeat, and it makes you think of the Retro Junkies. But
nice.
Nailed it. They nailed it.
It does make me think of Retro Junkies.
Yeah, and it has a lot of the classic Konami sound effects, which are great. They're always really high quality. But yeah, the music's fantastic. It's cool they got the voice samples in there. And by the way, speaking of the music, and also sort of the difficulty, do we have a game tips section? I don't remember.
Oh no! Go ahead. And give us some game tips.
So you can enter the Konami code at the main menu, and after you hit start to start the game, there'll be an options menu that comes up, and it allows you to choose a music track. So you could just choose a song to listen to, difficulty of the game, the number of lives you have, and it'll also let you choose a level, which is really cool. So if you can't really get to the end of the game, don't need a game genie. Just use the Konami code. You can choose your level and stuff and lives. So
you can at least try.
Yeah, so it's cool. It really adds to a lot of the replayability of the game.
I definitely tried that after I leading up to the episode. I texted you guys that is there a cheat code of this game because I need something, and Josh said you could try the Konami code, and I definitely did that so I could play some more levels because I think the furthest I made it on my own was maybe the subway, somewhere in there. Maybe it's like scene 4, scene 5. Mm-hmm. So I definitely had to use the Konami code to try some other levels.
Yeah, my buddy, my neighbor, he came over just a couple days ago. I was like, hey, man, let's go ahead and see if we can beat Turtles 3 together. So we come over, and the graphics were looking great for a while. Everything was looking fine. We were like on scene 3 or 4, and we're doing pretty well. And then all of a sudden, I started seeing the pixels starting to form on my screen. I was like, oh, no. Because when you see that, it's just a matter of time. You're like, oh, please hold on. And then all of a sudden, they went away. Like,
dust got in there.
Yeah, apparently, yeah. And then by the time we got to scene 4, all of a sudden it just froze. And I was like, well, we were on pace to beat the game.
Yep.
We'll never know. We're totally going to beat it, but, that's how it goes.
All right. Well, let's talk about the price. Rob, you tried to mention it earlier, but Justin, can you look it up for us? Can you tell us, is this, and we'll all discuss, is this game worth it?
So it goes between about $25 and $30. So we'll say $27.50 to average it out.
Okay.
I'm kind of surprised because I remember it being that price. I did buy myself a copy at one point, and I think I paid about $30. And that was several years ago, and I know prices have been going up, so I'm surprised it hasn't gone up.
It's kind of stayed the same for some reason.
Mm-hmm. I'm also surprised is what we usually run into, on games is the later in the life cycle, typically the more expensive they are or harder to find because they don't make as many copies.
Right.
But this one doesn't seem to be the case.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I would say
I'd say it's worth it.
Yeah, me too. Totally.
Yeah, I actually did buy one at that price, so I have to say it's worth it. I think you can a game that's a beat 'em up that's this good. I'm trying to think of it's better than Turtles 2. I'm trying to think of a side-scrolling beat 'em up that's as good as this. That's significantly cheaper, and I can't think of one off the top of my head. Because I think River City Ransom is $30 as well. That's another great one, but same price. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to also say that it's worth it. And I'll go a step further to answer Rob's question. Would I put it on my list? That'd be tough. I might have to skim anticipation off, which would be painful. I don't know. we'll have to answer that on the next level. Of course, we're gonna have more money to buy. At that time, I'd probably take off Ninja Turtles 2. I'd probably have to take off another game too as well, just price wise. But yeah, it would be tough not to include it.
Oh, nice. I was hoping you say that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna totally. I'm gonna do the side answer like Justin. I'm gonna say you have to wait till next time, but I'll say it would be tough not to include it.
So I have a related answer. When I went to I wanted to send you guys a picture of my cartridge today, and I texted you a couple pictures, and I've got a box, like an old school Nintendo box with like Zelda and stuff on it, where I keep most of my cartridges.
I have that box actually. That's the same box I had when I was a kid.
Nice.
The black leather looking box.
Snake skin.
Oh, so yeah, that one I sent you. I have a big square Zelda one, and then I have this, the 10 cart box that you see, that black one. So like I have a couple different like handheld NESs that are like emulated or whatever, and at one point I loaded up like, whenever we would go to visit family, it was like a 3-hour drive. So I'd load up like, okay, which games do I want if my wife's going to drive? Like, these are my go-to games. So like, it made my top 10 list of most
nice
games. So
the 10 games in that box are your go-to games.
Yeah, they're pretty much at the time my top 10. I'll run down them really quick. So we've got Battletoads, Life Force, Contra, River City Ransom, Rescue Rangers, TMNT 3. The original Castlevania, DuckTales, Mega Man 2, and Punch-Out. So
I think your budget would be busted on our...
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are
it's harder than you think. People,
yeah.
I'm telling you. There's a link on Facebook. Facebook.com/groups/BitBrothers. Go try it for yourself, because it's not easy.
Yeah, I'm so glad that I started collecting like more than 10 years ago, because it would be so much more expensive now. Although I guess not Turtles, but a lot of the games would be. Like, it's crazy.
Yep. All right. So let's do some retrofit trophies.
You know what this game needs? Some retrofitted trophies.
All right. I can only hope that Rob has about 15, because I know he normally comes with a lot.
I'm slacking today. I've only got 7.
Whoa!
Still a lot. I've got 4, I think. I think I did 1 for each turtle.
Nice.
All right. Well, Rob, you got to start then, unless you got more than 7, Josh.
Okay. I got to channel my inner Miley Cyrus here. They came in like a wrecking ball, and that's surviving all the random wrecking balls in Scene 3.
Are you?
That was just uncanny.
I'm so sorry.
All
do I keep going? Or do we
see, I
rotate?
don't know. I've got 4, so...
Okay,
I've only got 2.
I can get like all mine out of the way. Okay. Free falling, or fly like an eagle. I couldn't decide on which musical reference here, but that's basically launching a foot ninja off the bridge. And then my third one was stone cold, and that's clearing all the stone soldiers without losing a life. And I'll skip one. Let's see. And who turned off the life? And that's falling down a sewer. Mouser Derby, that is batting the Mousers out of the tunnel in stage 5. And playing on a whole new level, and that is getting through the sewer level, or the, I'm sorry, not sewer level, the elevator stage. And then my last one was, we strike hard and fade away into the night. And that's a quote from the original book, and that is actually beating the game. So those are mine.
Nice.
Nice.
Thank you.
Well, I have 2. I'll go ahead and just run mine in. My first one is, as we begin to rock, steady rocking all night long. And that is Beat Rock Steady.
That's a really long achievement name.
And then my second one is Stab in the Back. And that is Beat Ground Chuck. Because there's this part where he runs at the edge of the screen and he stays like with his back turns to you, just stab him a bunch of times as Leonardo with your katana. So that's my 2.
I like. All right, I'll go next. I got Leo Kebab, and that is stab a foot soldier out of the air in the surfboard level. So, like, as he's jumping, you got to stab him and throw him back over your head. That's a Leo command.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
I like that.
Batter up is to knock away an enemy projectile with Dantel's bow.
Ooh.
Because you can do that. You can swing and hit the enemy projectiles. Gymnastic-tastic Mike is finish off an enemy by catching him in the air with Michelangelo's special attack. Which I did with slash.
Impressive.
Somehow. And then Drill Bit Raph is to finish off a boss by drilling into him as he's running towards you.
Nice. All right, I've got a couple. So first one is Kamikaze, and that's killing yourself by using your last bit of health for a special move. The back attack is Backjack, and that's using Michelangelo's kangaroo kick. Screwed, which is using Raphael's drill attack. And someone call a plumber.
Podcast,
And the last one's call a plumber, and that's fighting Ground Chuck when he rips the pipe out of the wall.
Nice.
I like them. Justin,
All right.
Do we have any from Facebook?
We got a few. Nick DeMarco says the Christmas Luther play through the first level in red flannel while eating pizza and hot wings. Nick DeMarco also has the annoying Krang play the game on your knees while yelling in a Krang voice, Shredder, when are you going to make me a body? And then Anthony Pig says Razar Edge. Defeat Razar in the Technodrome.
I will also say that Chris Vanderhoff comments on there, only if you get Rob Luther on. Well, Rob Luther's on.
We did our part.
Chris did not give us a achievement. So, Chris, you're a jerk. All right. So let's rate this game.
No game is worthy until the dudes have spoken. It's time for the game rating.
All right. How do you guys want to rate this game? I don't know if you guys remember from last time, but we don't really rate it legit. We kind of make up our own thing. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Cool.
So
Is Nick Stevens going to rate it for us?
Oh, I'll call him while you guys are figuring out how we're going to rate this.
Okay.
Yeah.
See what you guys think about it.
Well, I feel like pizza would be way too on the nose.
Yeah, we can't go on the nose. It's got to be like...
Would Ninja Weapons be... Ninja Weapons? Is that too on the nose?
Too on the nose. Think more like on the ear.
Okay.
On the back of the head.
Type of tree.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I'll go first.
Okay.
I'm going to go with an oak tree. It's a good tree.
It's sturdy.
Sturdy. You can make a lot of stuff out of the wood. It's versatile, just like this game.
Yeah.
You can't have where would we be without oak trees?
I don't know. We wouldn't have oak trees.
That's true. Wouldn't have oak trees.
Right,
That's
I'm
true.
going to go with dogwood.
Ooh.
Because you can get a lot of different kinds of dogwood.
Aesthetics.
You can get red ones. You can get white ones. They're pretty. So there's variety, and they're pretty. That's like this game. Lots of variety. Lots of beauty.
There you go.
It's beautiful.
Nice. I am going to go with the redwood because this game stands tall above all other.
Oh, well,
funny.
I can't top that.
Yeah.
I can't top that. I got nothing. I don't know my trees. Let's see.
There's a spruce. There's a fir. There's a...
Pecan.
Fern, the fir trees, they never lose their leaves, right?
Right.
They're evergreens.
Yeah,
Okay, so I
evergreen.
can say, you know what? I will compare them to a fir tree because they never lose their appeal. It's aged remarkably well, and Yeah, gosh, that was terrible. I
Kind of sticky.
Kind of sticky.
Good
It
old-
sticks to you. You know, this is a game that
Sticks
always
with
sticks to me. Yeah, absolutely.
Yo,
All
Douglas
right.
Fir.
I like it. Those are some good trees. All right, let me give Nick a ring on the slide whistle. What you got to say, Nick?
This is probably going to be like one of the most infamous sound bites you'll ever have from Nick Stevens, but this is probably one of my favorite games of all time. Like, probably top 10.
Okay,
Ooh, wow.
At least he's consistent.
Yeah.
that's right. He's got the biggest top 10 favorite games collection of anybody I know.
He does. He's got me beat for sure.
All right, so let's check our feedback. See if we got any feedback on Facebook.
We got
It's
some
time
feedback
for
on Facebook.
D-Patter feedback, because when you're a D-Patter, you're a D-Patter for life.
I heard that, Justin. You're trying to talk over top of stuff here. Hold on.
We're, it's only the, 178th episode.
Might as well just keep talking over every soundbite.
Only the 178th episode. I have no idea when segments are going to be changing and transitioning and what intros
In your
we have.
defense-
I can relate.
In your defense, sometimes I got it, sometimes I don't. So it's probably my fault.
All right. Jesse Cleva Vidal, starts us off with just Kip from Napoleon Dynamite GIF, just doing the yes thing. John Simmons says, great game. Graphics, music, and sound are typical Konami high quality. Lots of fun to be had with this one, although I still prefer TMNT 2 for NES for nostalgic reasons.
That's fair.
Put that at the end. Nostalgic. I get that.
Jay Jorgensen says, one of the best games on the NES. I can't believe this day has finally come. Faints from excitement. Zach Brooks says, easily in my top 20 NES games, perhaps even cutting into the top 10. Keep in mind, I rank my game on fun, playable non-RPG games. Tyler Jones says, dude, bro, radical. Anthony Pig says, my favorite of the NES Turtle games. Stephen Michael says, this was an excellent follow-up to the TMNT to the arcade game. I enjoy the increased difficulty and awesome setting. I don't like that they changed the super attack to damage you, though. That was an easy way to cheese TMNT 2, so it's painful when you move to this game. It's still a very enjoyable classic, though. Jesse Cleva says, the game starts in Florida. Need we say more? Trevor Franklin says, my favorite beat 'em up of all time, better than Streets of Rage 1 through 3.
Ooh.
Wow.
Wow.
Them's fighting words for some people.
High praise.
High praise right
Not
there.
us.
Timmy Mack says, one of the best on the system. Sprites, music, and gameplay are top notch. Turtle Power. And that's it for the Facebook.
Power.
On the half show.
All right. Well, we got a voicemail, and then I think that should round us out. You guys want to hear it?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I was about to say, well, too bad. Couldn't play it anyways.
Hey, what's up, dudes? It is JZNES. I'm talking.
Hold on. Jay-Z, you didn't finish it.
Yeah.
That's kind of a tease, to be honest.
Maybe he's going to do it at the end. Maybe he's going to do it at the end.
Okay, all right. If he doesn't, though, he's got to call in next time for the next game and finish at the beginning of the
Absolutely.
Right.
Turtles 3 there. Manhattan Project. I remember when I got this game. It was at one of the game conventions that I did, that I went to get all the games or whatever. It was a lot of fun playing it the first time. Me and my friend had a lot of good times playing it. I don't remember us playing it too much after that, but I do remember playing it a few times. And I always thought it was better than the other two games. Obviously, first game's kind of a little obtuse. Second game is more, just a straight beat 'em up. But this game, I feel like, was the perfect formula of all of that. And it's just a really fun game. Good music and everything. Just really solid. Good graphics. I don't know. I just wanted to call in and talk about that because I remember having a good time with this game. Pretty solid NES title there. So hopefully you guys liked it. And yeah, I don't know. That's all. This is JZ NES saying keep it classic. I'll see you guys in the next podcast. And JZ out.
Rip. Nice. Thank you.
I did it for you.
That's awesome.
Thanks, Jay-Z, and appreciate the call. You too can leave us a voicemail if you call us at 775-7-RETRO-1, or if you just prefer numbers, we got 775-773-8761. And spoiler, same number. All right. That's pretty much it. But
yeah,
you guys, shout out. Well, you're going to put this on your feed too. So I guess we both need to shout each other out, right?
Yeah.
So you shout yourself first.
Okay, well, Josh and I were a part of a Ninja Turtles podcast called Turtle Flakes. We've been doing it for a couple years, and we took a little hiatus in 2020 and even part of 2019, I think. But we're back. Who knows for how often we're going to get to record, but we're definitely back and talking turtles, obviously, and we just really enjoy doing it. It's a family-friendly podcast. You can just Google search us, Turtle Flakes Podcast. You'll find us on all the feeds, and we'd just be happy to have you guys give us a listen and just love talking turtles, all parts of it, comics, games, movies, all that good stuff. So thanks for letting us come on here. It's always a great time talking turtles with you guys.
Oh, yeah. We've got one game left.
One game, Tournament Fighters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Rob, as well as you said all that, I think you sold your guys' self a little short. I mean, you've got basically a guest of every major turtle person has been on your podcast.
Oh, stop.
Which is quite the accomplishment.
Thanks, buddy.
We got the voice of Michelangelo, voice of Krang, Kevin Eastman, Jim Lawson, probably several others that I don't remember. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So check us out, turtleflakespodcast.com. The whole library of episodes is on there, tons of them. And yeah, some really, really cool interviews.
Yeah. And I mean, we had David Crane at once, and he's probably out badmouth our podcast.
Cease and desist letters don't stop coming our way.
Was that
just keep coming?
Boy in his blob? Was that the episode? Or okay,
I'll get all kinds of takedown notices.
Really?
no, he's been very nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I don't remember if I listened to that one, but I'm a huge fan of David Crane, so that's really cool.
Yeah, we did interview him. Long time ago. Before he even knew what a podcast was. Now that he knows, he would never come back on, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I met him at CGE 2014 and had him sign my Pitfall cartridge. That was really cool. And I think I had him sign a Boy in his blob. Amazing. He does amazing work, so really cool.
Yeah. We really did enjoy having him on. And
yeah.
And he was very gracious. So, but we're Two Dudes in an S. We are a game-by-game Nintendo podcast. We don't go in any order. Usually we just do Patreon picks most of the time, which means people pay us money to cover the game they want to cover. And, yeah. So we like it that way. You know what I'm saying? Just kidding. We either cover games we want or just random games, It don't matter. Or if we have a guest on, we let them pick the game usually. Or we like to cover Turtles games because we get to have Turtle Flakes guys on.
Mm-hmm.
But Justin, tell them where they can find us.
You can find us on Facebook with the Bit Brothers Gaming Community, which is the group we share with the Genesis Gems. Unfortunately, we're not shouting them out. But so you can find us there. It's probably the best place to find us, and where you'll find a community of like-minded people that are really into retro games. So come check us out.
Yeah.
And Turtle Flakes listeners, I can personally vouch for these two dudes. Really great episodes. It's funny. It's laid back, a lot like Rob and I. We've kind of all been friends for years now, and everyone's pretty much the same. Pretty laid back, nothing too official, but it's just a lot of fun to kind of kick back and hear us goof off a little bit about stuff we like.
Yeah, we are also family friendly, although every now and then we do talk about goose poop. And things like
Right,
that.
just
Yeah,
a
whoa,
lot of
where's that
poop
come
talk. If you like poop, not just goose, we've been known to talk about
That's true.
dog
We have
poop.
talked about
All
dog.
kinds.
Yeah.
That's true. And today
for
we had
sure.
turtle puke. So yeah.
But if you want to find the Bit Brothers Network, you can find us at patreon.com/bitbros as well. If you want to, for example, pay us to cover your game. You can also pay the Genesis jerks to cover a Genesis game there. But shout out also to the Wee Dude for the 8-bit stereo music that you hear in the background and at the intro of the show. He stereoizes, if that's the right word, all these old NES games, because if you'll recall, they were in mono back in the day. So he
Like
makes
Mike had as a kid.
Yeah. Thanks. And then Fox Dude for awesome logo. Yeah.
Can I
And
give
I
one
guess
more shout out? Oh, go ahead.
Sure.
Go ahead, Josh.
I just wanted to give a shout out to Arcade USA, my good buddy William Culver. He's got an awesome YouTube channel. I'm occasionally on there. Sometimes I'll do video game reviews of like homebrew games. So check out Arcade USA on YouTube.
Yeah, he's been around for a long time too. He's always put out great stuff.
Solid dude.
Yeah.
And just to round out, bring this all together. I'll tell you a story. A friend of mine's got a cicada tortoise. It's about the size of a house cat now. It's pretty big. It's getting pretty big. He lets it out in his backyard and run around. He also has German Shepherds. The tortoise's favorite food, it just loves it. It can't get enough of it. The dog poop.
Oh, I didn't say that.
It just can't get enough of it. It's like every time he turns around, he's found the new pile.
Way to bring it all back there, Justin.
Bringing it all in.
I was expecting pizza, but no.
So basically, what we've done is we built this really nice episode, wrapped it up in this beautiful wrapping paper, and Justin has just lit it on fire and like set it on somebody's step. Turns out it was full of poop. Turtle poop.
Right.
I mean, what did you
But
goose?
turtle
I'm
poop
curious.
after the turtle has eaten dog poop. That's quite a doozy.
Oh, jeez.
So you guys like to pick out a pizza at the end, right? Now that everybody's hungry.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll pick our pizza.
Okay.
So today, I think we're going to change it up a little bit because it's past midnight already, so it's technically the morning. So I'm going to go breakfast, and I'm going to say corned beef hash pizza because it's the best.
Sounds disgusting.
Dude, you got to get the right corned beef hash. I'm telling you, you got to get the good
We
stuff.
will. I promise. Wait, we made you a deal, but I don't think you've taken it yet. Listen to the episode.
Okay, I haven't caught up yet, so I'll do that.
Okay. I don't remember what it was. So, all right. Until next time. Bye.
Good thing I was wearing pants. It's always dangerous if you're on Skype and you stand up.
But he played with me, so but we never made it very far. Neighbor Kid and I made it a lot further. Is somebody playing again right now?
I hear it.
Guilty.
Josh!
Yeah, we caught you, Josh. There's some more editing. Ugh.
So is
I
our
can't,
Chrome Dome giving you trouble again?
No, I don't know what you said, but
No.
definitely not.
I don't know what you said, but no.
I asked if Chrome Dome was giving you trouble again.
Oh yeah, he's always giving us trouble.
Okay.
That Google Chrome Dome. Ba-doom, boom, inside joke.
Oh, there it is.